Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a university video chatting about what I've been up to since graduating. It has now been 2 years since I graduated uni. I think actually 2 years ago on the day I found out my university results, which is just so crazy, and I think by the time this video is uploaded it will be about 2 years since my graduation. Time has absolutely flown. The fact that it's now been, what, 5 years since I was a fresher is just super mind-boggling to me. So I thought I would just kind of chat about what I've learnt, any regrets since leaving university, and just a little update on what I've been up to. I also wanted to use this video as an opportunity to get you guys to ask me any questions that you might have. I know that a lot of you guys find my channel through my university content, so if you have any university related questions, definitely leave them down in a comment below. If there's enough there, I will make a follow-up video to kind of answer some of those. But in today's video, I'm just going to be giving an update on my life now, 2 years after graduating. So if you guys have been following my channel since I left university, you will have like some idea of what I've been up to. Directly after I finished uni, I actually started an internship, and that was meant to be a 2-week internship, I'm pretty sure, at a marketing place. I found it online, but it was actually funded by my university. So the application process, it told you to state your university, and if you were from a certain list of, I think there were maybe like 20 or so unis on that list, that university would fund your internship. So it was a paid internship, and that was only meant to last a couple of weeks, but I ended up doing it all the way through until December. Not full-time. I think I did maybe 10 weeks full-time, or I can't believe, I mean, this is only 2 years ago and I've already literally forgotten everything. But I think I did a period of time that was full-time, and then I went down to 1.5 days a week. Now, that internship was interesting. I've definitely made a couple of videos where I mention it in the past, so if you're interested in finding out more about that, I will link them down below. But I basically didn't have the best time at that internship. I was not happy with the situation at all. I'd obviously moved back home, so I was living with my mum, and after a while the internship went online, so I was working from home most of the time, and it was just a tricky situation. I didn't really like it, wasn't happy, and those kind of 6 months after finishing university, I was really miserable. I was in such a bad headspace. I just wasn't happy at all. The internship wasn't helping. I also didn't really have any friends around me, because it's that kind of awkward in-between stage where some people are still at uni, some people have like moved elsewhere, some people have come back home, which is what I'd done, but no one's kind of in the same place. So it's not the same as kind of when you come back for Christmas and all your friends are also back because everyone's seeing their family. It is just quite lonely, and I didn't really have anyone around, so I was very bored and not happy in the internship I was doing, and I just had a very miserable 6 months or so. So that led me up until December, when I actually went travelling around New Zealand with my family. Before then, I also had an interview for another job, so I had that interview literally the day before I flew, which I also vlogged, so I'll link that down below as well. And then flew out to New Zealand and found out while I was in New Zealand that I'd been accepted into this job. So that was like a pretty crazy couple of months, I'm going to be honest. I landed back in January and then had to find a flat in a new town, which is where I'm at now. I had to get that flat, move in, and start my new job all within like a week or so. So it was pretty mental. And then since then I've been in this little flat and I've been working at that same job. This job again is in marketing. It's pretty different to the internship I did, but that's kind of where I went from there. I did a psychology degree, if you guys aren't aware, and I did that at the University of Exeter. But my kind of, I guess, job that I'm in now is not psychology related at all. That is kind of something I wanted to touch on, because I feel like that's a really interesting topic to talk about with people who've graduated, kind of if the job they're doing now is in any way related to their course, because I feel like a lot of the time it isn't, and people go to university to do courses that they find interesting and not necessarily where they see themselves working. Obviously that is not always the case, and a lot of people go to university with a career in mind, but I definitely didn't, and I did psychology just because I really enjoyed the subject at school, found it super interesting, and I don't regret choosing psychology at all. I loved learning everything that I learned at university, and I actually really miss it. I've been thinking recently how I want to do some sort of online course or something so I can kind of keep learning, because that is definitely a big aspect that I'm missing now that I'm no longer in education, which I did not think would be the case whatsoever. I feel like all the way through school and then all the way through university, you're like, wow, I can't wait till the day I don't have to study. But now that I'm out of it, I actually really miss that. I do think though with psychology, it's one of those degrees that you can kind of apply in lots of different jobs. So for me, I feel like it's taught me really good writing and kind of analytical skills. And obviously you're learning about people and the way that people work, which I feel like you can literally apply anywhere in life, not just job wise. So I do think psychology is one of those courses where you can really get away with just applying it anywhere. I will also say the job that I'm in now is very much like an entry-level job. When I started, they kind of recruit people with the intention of training them, so a lot of the focus with my job is learning and training and kind of working your way up. So I think that's obviously beneficial as well for me. I wouldn't have been able to go into this job kind of at the role that I'm in now a year and a half later, because I obviously didn't know anything about it and I didn't do a degree related to anything that I'm doing now either. So I guess that is the one thing to bear in mind. I did go into a job very much at an entry level, which is kind of fine by me, but obviously if you do a degree more related to your career, you can probably kind of jumpstart that a little bit. So I guess if I split kind of university into living, work and social life, I will kind of chat a little bit about what I've missed or any regrets I've had in those areas. To start with living, obviously I now live alone in my little flat, and while I was at university I lived with 6 friends in my house during second and third year, and then obviously in first year I lived in halls. So a very different kind of environment. I definitely enjoyed living at university. I definitely preferred living at university to then when I went home. But also living with people is a little bit of a struggle, and I loved everyone that I lived with, but people are so annoying when you live with them, and they're just the little things that you don't have to put up with when you live alone are just great. So I am not missing living with other people in the university sense. Obviously at this stage of my life I'd be very happy to live with other people, but not like 6 university students who are all on their own schedule and all doing their own thing. That is definitely not my vibe right now. So not so much missing that side of things, but I am definitely missing being around people. I think that is like the best thing about university, is that you're always around people and there's always something to do. So I feel like the living situation there, while it wasn't ideal and people are annoying and like people don't wash up and people don't wipe the sides in the kitchen, just all the like normal triggering university accommodation type things, definitely living with your friends is something that is just worth making the most of, and it's one of those things that I do miss time to time. I'm like, when you could walk into the living room and people would be watching TV and you could just join them, or people around to order a takeaway with in the evening. Just little things like that I definitely miss about living at university. Another thing which I don't think is really too relevant for where I'm at right now, but I feel like all university accommodation for the most part is fairly near the town centre. At least it was for me in Exeter, which was so good in terms of walking places and just always being around the places you needed to get to. Now, I purposely chose the flat that I'm living in now to be in a really good location, so I have a similar sort of thing here in terms of being really close to work and the supermarkets and shops, etc. So that's not something I'm kind of struggling with now, but that is another thing that I would definitely say don't take for granted, because it's so nice being like in the middle of everything and just not having to go far to get places. If that's like a night out or even just walking to university, I feel like for the most part with campus unis that is the case, and everything is just kind of in one place, which I just think is one of those things that you kind of miss if you move out of that environment. In terms of work, like I've already mentioned, I do really miss kind of learning and kind of the structure of being able to do what you want and kind of learning yourself, teaching yourself. I weirdly quite like revision and revising for exams, and this kind of period last year, I mean I guess a couple of months ago when I was writing my dissertation, I actually quite enjoyed that because I could structure my own days, I knew what I was going to be doing, and I liked being in control like that. Obviously now I have a job, that's very different. You kind of can't structure your day in the same way. you're not so much in control of the hours that you work, and a lot of that freedom is taken away from you. So I think that that is a big thing I miss about university, just kind of having your own schedule and having the freedom to do what you want. Obviously that comes with its downsides, because it does mean that you might waste several weeks in bed doing nothing, which I definitely did during my time at university. But it also means that if you kind of want a day off one day because it's really sunny and you can go sit out in the park with your friends, you can do that. Or if another day you want to stay up super late working because you're in the zone, you can do that as well, which is just something I miss. I miss just being able to leave my flat and go do something if I need to go do it. Kind of, if you need a doctor's appointment, you can just go out and get a doctor's appointment at any time in the day. Or if you want to go supermarket shopping, you can just pop to the supermarket. I feel like those are the things you take for granted. Obviously now those things are way more difficult when you're in a full-time job, so I can't just pop out if I feel like it because I need to be working, and that is something that I really miss. I feel like on that as well, that is one of my regrets, I think, looking back, is that I didn't make the most of that enough. I, like I've already said, did waste a lot of my days where I could have been more productive, or not even productive, but just got out of bed and maybe socialised or got outside and explored extra a lot more. That is another massive regret. When you go to university, make the most, if you are going somewhere different to your hometown, make the most of learning about a new place and exploring a new place. I feel like I did a fair bit of that, but looking back, there are so many places nearby that I didn't visit, and so many little things I just wish I'd done while I was there, while it was obviously easier to do all that exploring. I did write like a little bucket list at the end of my third year with things that I wanted to get done or places I wanted to visit, and a lot of that list is still left unmarked, which is just so sad. So if you're at university, make the most of being in a new place and explore. Make sure you kind of learnt it inside out, because if you're then going to move away somewhere else, you don't want to kind of regret not seeing some of the things you could have done while you were there. And then finally, like social wise, I think I've kind of already touched on this in terms of living with other people and socializing with them. But make the most, I feel like I've said that phrase literally 50 times in this video, just make the most of having lots of people about. Obviously, university is like one of those few times, I think, where you're surrounded by so many like-minded people and so many people that just want to get to know other people as much as you do. So make the most of that, kind of join socials, go to different social events and evenings, or just hang out with your flatmates more, or just make the most of kind of having so many people around you. I definitely don't think I did this at all. So I was part of the vegan society at university, which I absolutely loved, and I was actually on the committee for that in my final year as well, which was great. But I definitely think there were other societies that I would have been interested in joining, but I was just too much of a wimp and too scared to, or societies I didn't think I'd have time for. But at the end of the day, like, the social aspect of university is a big part of it. Like, obviously you go there for a degree, but you come away from university having learnt so much more than that. So I just think kind of getting out there, and I don't know what other phrase to use other than making the most of it. It's just, I think, so important. I think as well, on the social side of things, not limiting yourself to one group of people is really important. So societies help with that a whole lot, because obviously each society is going to have different people in it. You can mingle with different groups, meeting people on your course as well as people in your flats. I think just kind of getting a broad range of friends while at uni is great, because there's just more people then for you to keep in touch with, more people that you can see who you kind of gel with best. I didn't really make that many friends outside of my housemates. That was kind of my group at uni, which I don't necessarily regret because I loved living with them and they're all great friends. But I wish I'd kind of explored other people as well. That sounds really weird, but got to know other people as well, because I definitely feel like I missed out there. I didn't really put myself out there. I didn't go to socials by myself. I would only ever like bring a flatmate with me and things like that. So that's kind of one of my regrets, I think, from university, is just not getting out there enough. So yeah, I guess that has been my little university update with where I'm at now and kind of what I regret when I look back at university life. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, if you guys have any questions about university, if you're about to go in September, if you're still looking at universities, if you're a second or third year and you've got questions, definitely leave them down in a comment below and I'll make that follow-up video to chat through them all. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye.